Hello, how are you today? I hope you're having a great day with whatever you are doing. Today I'm going to show you how you can make your own pickled cucumbers. This is a classic recipe that has actually been passed to me by my mum, and I think her nana made it too. And you can see at the back, we've got lots of cucumbers. They've come out of the garden, but we will often make this with the homemade, homegrown cucumbers, or even if cucumbers are cheap at the shops. My kids love this recipe. It's a classic, it's an oldie. I guess they would have used it to preserve the veggies when they're in season, and then so you can have them all year round. Let me show you how to do it. It is going to be done manually. It's not a guided recipe because, as I said, it's an oldie, it's a goodie. So let me show you how to do this. First thing we will need is we will need some sugar. I'm going to put in 1 cup of sugar. I had to go dig my cup measurement, out of the very dusty cupboard. And you're probably thinking, wow, 1 cup of sugar, that's a lot of sugar. It is a lot of sugar, but it's got that real combo of sweet, vinegar, salty, all that sort of stuff. So we've got 1 cup of sugar. Now we're going to bring up the scales. We're putting in 2 cups of vinegar, but I don't need to get my cup measurement and make it dirty because I know that 1 cup is 250 mils or 250 grams when I'm talking liquid. So I can just go 500 grams, okay, because I want 2. So let's put that in. I've kind of perfected this recipe over time. Obviously, when this was first given to me, I didn't have a Thermomix, and Mum didn't do it with a Thermomix, and Nana didn't. They did it on a pot on the stove, bring it to the boil, scoop it out when it's done. Thermomix makes light work of all this, doesn't it? So next up, we're going to add 2 tablespoons of salt. So I've got one, this needs to be used up. You can see it's a bit humid at the moment, it's all sticky. There's 1 tablespoon. Let me just grab the 2nd tablespoon. On the last innings of salt at the moment at this place. That'll do. 2 tablespoons of salt. Then we need 1 teaspoon of turmeric and I'm just looking at the recipe, 1 teaspoon of mustard seeds. Now last time I made this recipe, I actually used whole grain mustard out of the fridge. Worked perfectly fine. So I reckon you actually can, but I think it actually means dry mustard seeds. Completely fine though if you use the ones out of the fridge. Certainly okay. And then your turmeric. Now, turmeric may well stain the lid of your Thermomix. Put it out in the sun for a little while, or don't even worry, and just put it through a dishwasher like normal. And that marking will eventually, that fluoro will come out your lid. Okay? It's a sign of a well-loved Thermomix, the turmeric stain. If you make curries, you know what I'm talking about. Now what we're going to do is going to bring this to the boil, and we've got in there nearly coming up to a litre worth. Okay? We want the sugar to dissolve, and we want it to be boiling. So I'm actually going to put up my kettle function on my TM6. Now the TM6 boils faster and comes up to the temperature way faster than our TM31 or TM5 did. If you've got a TM31 or a TM5, you want to be using your Varoma. You want to go Varoma temperature, probably 10 minutes, and speed half, 1.5. Okay, we'll do what you need it to do, which is come to the boil and dissolve the sugar in there. While that's happening, the next step is you want to be chopping up your cucumbers, okay? They're going to go into little discs. I love being able to do it in the Thermomix. It's so time efficient. Like I remember Mum doing this on the stove top, and she'd have everything pre-chopped early. Now, I don't know that I can get far enough back to show you, but you just want them in little rings. It's all nothing fancy. Little rings about no bigger than that, okay? If you've got a mandolin, I think that's what it's called, you could certainly do it on a mandolin, but hey, I just take the time while that's coming to the boil to slice it, and then it's going to be ready to go in a minute. So it doesn't have to be anything fancy. If they happen to be slightly bigger or smaller, no big deal. It doesn't particularly matter. What I do find though is you can only do 1 or 2 cucumbers at a go. Okay, so just bear with me. I'll show you the first one. Just cut out that little spot, and I'm going to show you the first batch before I leave you to it to have a go at this yourself in your own Thermomix or thermo cooker. So look how quickly it's up to temperature. It's actually up to 80 degrees already. That's how fast the TM6 can bring things up to temp. The other things we love to make in our Thermomix are things like beetroot. So you can do your own beetroot in the Thermomix, cook that up. It's absolutely beautiful, making your own beetroot. Now here you go, there's that first cucumber. nice and big, ready to go. So just give this a second longer. It's nearly up to temp. If I had a bigger chopping board, I'd be starting on the second one. Now, a couple of notes on this recipe. So today I'm going to cook the first cucumber in there. It takes about 5 minutes. Depends. I did find the other day 4 minutes was enough, but it probably depends on how fine you chop them, but also how many seeds are in there. If you go too long, you'll end up with seedless ones. The seeds have all dropped out and just end up with a circle. But I reckon 4 to 5 minutes, just keep an eye on it. You then just use a slotted spoon to get them out and leave the liquid in there, because you're going to use that for the next batch and the next batch and the next batch. The ones that you pulled out with a slotted spoon will go into a jar, and then at the very end you actually put your brine over the jars, and so that you then top it up and they'll all be covered in the liquid. Now that brine can actually be used for your next batch if you want to keep it. So once you've then eaten all your pickled cucumbers, you can be putting all your brine back in and reuse it. I find I can get 2 batches out of it. I normally can't get the third one out of it because I find by the third one I've got too many seeds in it. That's about it. But you could also, I guess, use it and then top it up. But I do find by then the kids have had a good go at it anyway. Not much stuff left. You guys hear how that's boiling, nearly boiling, 85 degrees. You can hear that water in there. So, a couple of things to note, the next step. So we're going to put it on reverse. You do not want the blades going forwards, you want them going backwards. Now I know some of you guys have seen me do the recipe where I put the blade cover in. Well, one day it popped off and I realised you don't need the blade cover. So it just is on slow stir, 5 minutes for room temperature, reverse. Okay, so that's what we're going to do, and then scoop them out and put them in the jar. So I'm actually going to stop this. It's at 90 degrees, which is really nice and hot. Go back here. Let's put our 5 minutes on the timer for our first batch, up to Varoma. And now we're going to put these in. Slide this in, and you really can't do, I reckon, more than a cucumber at a go. Okay, otherwise you just lose the capacity in there. And because that's right up to the top of the liquid. Let me see if I can show you. Have a look at that. You can see in there. Hang on. Just push some of them off. You can see when I try and show you, like the liquid is at that level. It's a bit hard to show you guys. It's going to spill out everywhere if I'm not careful. Oh, and I dribbled it down the back of the Thermomix. Luckily that part doesn't stain. It's got the shiny coating on it, so it doesn't. Alright, so on with the lid. Let's go. So 5 minutes of aroma. Remember the reverse. Slow stir. And off that goes. Just check at that 5 minute mark. You want them to be semi-translucent. They don't need to be completely see-through. Okay, if you've gone completely see-through, you'll find the seeds will drop out. And yes, you won't. They've got no texture left. You want them to be just glossy, see-through. You'll see what I mean when it's time to pull them out. So this is your time in your kitchen to get the next one going. Chop, 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 and off you go, because by the time you chop this, it's time to grab those out. The other way, just a little tip, the other way that I've often done it, if you don't own a slotted spoon, is grab your simmering basket. You can then put this in your thermoserver, set it in a thermoserver. When this is finished, pour it out into here. Lift this out of the thermoserver. That'll leave all your brine in the thermoserver. Then put this on a plate. Oh look, there's leftover stuff on that one. That's the cocktail from last night. Sorry about that, keeping it real today. Yeah, then you can leave this sitting on a plate so it doesn't drip everywhere with all the beautiful pickles in it, and then pour it into a jar, but then your brine goes back in and then you cook again and keep going. So that's another way of straining, is you can actually strain through here instead, putting your cucumbers into your simmering basket if you prefer. For me, got a slotted spoon, it takes only a couple of seconds to pull them all out. So guys, pickled cucumbers in your Thermomix. The only variation is how long do you cook it for. Have a play with that. You want them to start looking translucent, not too far, okay, not so the seeds will fall out. You'll know if you've gone too far, and really the ripeness, the variety, the amount of seeds will really change that for each batch you make. But I hope you'll give this recipe a go. I hope you enjoy it. It's so incredibly simple. 1 cup of sugar, 2 cups of vinegar, 2 tablespoons of salt, and then the 1 teaspoon of turmeric and 1 teaspoon of mustard seeds is all it takes to make this recipe in your Thermomix. Let us know when you give it a go. Now, please remember to like and subscribe. And if you've got friends and family who have Thermomixes, or maybe they're just curious about them, do let them know as well, because I'd love them to be inspired if they've got a Thermomix to keep getting more out of it. That's what I show up here for you guys, is so that you can keep getting inspired and learn that there is so much more to do with your Thermomix. Because 7 years on, I certainly do find that myself. Hear that boiling now? Anyway, guys, do take care. Let me know what you think, and if you've got questions, I'm here to help you. But otherwise, take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.